There were two epically cringe moments by Never Trump Republican consultants yesterday, publicly, and we had to bring them to both of you. The first is Frank Lutz. He's a pollster, as I'm sure that many of you know. He's on CNBC doing a normal interview, Krystal.
Okay.
They noticed that he has an Oval Office background. You know, people have Zoom backgrounds. Little weird, you know, not really something. Turns out it's a real room he built in his house to the tune of $1 million. Let's take a listen.
This is a 78% replica of the Oval Office. And over here, as I turn this around, this is the Lincoln bedroom. So I'm the only person who has an Oval Office that you can actually sleep in, and you don't have to be a presidential intern.
Okay. Well, were you just not going to say anything? You're waiting for me to ask that. We wanted to clear that up. Frank,
hold on.
Don't disconnect.
Go ahead.
He can go. Oh, this is not a green screen? Like, if you got out of your chair, and I don't want you to because you have a mic, you could actually walk back there. There's depth.
Yes, I'm going to show you what it looks like.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is a genuine Resolute desk. I'm going to put it there behind me. So you can see, including the buck stops here.
Wow.
We've got the humidor from Bill Clinton. Let's see if I can get that in the shot. There you go. These are couches from Bill Clinton.
Wow.
This is the whole thing. And that is behind me is the painting of George Washington that was in the Richard Nixon White House. And yes, this is real.
So he goes on to say that he spent $1 million on that, whatever that was, and that he would now be using it as a tax deduction.
What?
Because he was like, now I can say that I used it for CNBC work purposes. So you guys have just given. Now look, I know CNBC is the rich people channel, but this is too much. Okay, I don't know what the hell that was.
I think we just found out Frank Lutz is into some freaky stuff.
This is weird. He spent $1 million on an Oval Office. Also, the Lincoln bedroom attack. I have so many questions.
Well, also the way that it's not like this, I mean, the whole thing is kind of mind-blowing, but he didn't plan to, like, give a tour.
No.
He just thought he'd do his hit from his fake Oval Office.
I thought he was planning it because he'd be like, hey, what's that oval behind you? Because that's how it happened, right? I mean, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, is that like a...
What is going on back there?
He built this whole thing in his house. I had no words for that. And the thing is,
great use of money.
Everybody kind of, first of all, Google's paying him a lot of money. And you know, all these other people for corporate consulting, et cetera. But the real bizarre thing is, everybody kind of let him off the hook yesterday. I mean, like, who does that publicly? The level of dunks were not nearly what they should have been. Yeah, no, I was like, am I losing my mind? I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And yet, here we are. And he was joined by Ana Navarro.
Not to be outdone in cringe.
Absolutely will never be outdone on cringe. Let's throw her tweet up there on the screen. She tweets, "My poodle and I are going to bed happy, knowing that when Uncle Joe becomes president, Auntie Kamala will be there in case bad crap happens."
Oh my God.
I have nothing for the level of cringe that was on that website yesterday. I mean, and I guess to try and shove a substantive angle in here, that's the woman who they hired to do Latino outreach for the Biden campaign.
I know. Well,
pretty incredible.
And that's the thing, is that there is no substance in any of this. I mean, she's rebranded herself very effectively in the Trump era as this, like, as the moderate, reasonable Republican who hates what Trump's doing to democracy. But, I mean, you look at your history, at what she has stood for and continues to stand for, by the way, on the substance. This is the most, like, right-wing neocon person.
She is.
So her dad was a Contra. She still supports the Contra. She's on board with all the Reagan-era regime change, Cold War intervention. Like, that is who she is. That is the core of her politics. But she will rest easy when Uncle Joe and Auntie Kamala are in the White House. And this is who they have chosen to reach out to Latino voters instead of, say, the successful team that was able to actually reach out to Latino voters across the country in the Sanders campaign based on healthcare and economic interest and other things. No, instead, they're going with the poodle there.
Well, that's the crazy part to me, is that you look at where Biden is doing the worst. It's actually amongst younger Latino voters and amongst younger black voters. And Trump is actually doing better with Latino voters this time around than he was last time. So a reasonable person would say, okay, who is the best person out there who won Latino voters? We both know the answer here, which is Bernie Sanders' campaign. We should hire the person who drove the turnout for that. It comes back to something we talked about earlier in the show with AOC only getting 60 seconds to talk at the DNC, which is they seem to have a real antipathy towards like people who might actually be able to help them with younger voters, Latino, black, white, I mean all younger voters.
No, they would rather.
They really just don't care.
They would rather lose than to actually incorporate that part of the party into the coalition.
Yeah.
They would rather lose. I mean, it was the same thing with Hillary, right? And the Kamala pick as VP is perfectly emblematic of this. I know there's all this like media commentary about how she's going to drive up turnout among young voters. Like there's zero evidence of that. What you need is someone who's going to actually excite or at least show that you have some respect for or acknowledgement of the existence of this like base of the party represents like 40% of the party,
right.
This sort of Bernie Sanders wing. And instead you go out of your way to hire people like Ana Navarro, to feature John Kasich, who is aggressively, pro-life, who was aggressively anti-union, who was like the biggest deficit hawk, like very hardline conservative guy. You're going to feature him. You're going to give AOC 60 seconds. You're not even going to let Andrew Yang on the stage whatsoever. Mayor Pete, of course, is going to be feted. He'll have a big primetime slot, and he'll get to speak for however much he wants to, I'm sure. So, yeah, but, the truth is I'm sure Ana Navarro does feel very comfortable in a potential Biden administration. Her paycheck will continue to be secure, and she will have, access and a foreign policy and a range of domestic policies that I'm sure she'll feel very comfortable with.
Yeah, that's right. Auntie Kamala and Uncle Joe will take care of her.
Oh, God. Great stuff. More rising for you after this.